Well, of course, the big sports news tonight is Game 1 World Series.
The World Series, coast to coast, the Dodgers and the Yankees. Started out very bad for West Coast fans. What a turn of events. Last night, the Dodgers were on top of the world after Monday's ninth-inning home run won the National League pennant for them. But with hardly a minute to catch their breath, the Dodgers tonight find themselves in a deep hole. That doesn't mean they cannot come back for a third time. A win tomorrow night makes the series a toss-up. But tonight, it was all over in the first inning when Bob Watson homered with 2 on. Here's the pictures of tonight's game from New York.
Joe DiMaggio.
One of the greatest Yankees of them all threw out the first ball. Joe DiMaggio had the honor, and for a while it seemed the current Yankees were inspired by the Clippers' presence. Bob Watson hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, following a single by Jerry Mumphrey and a double by Lou Piniella. New York led 3-0. They added another run in the third, Piniella driving in Mumphrey with this single. And they added still another in the fourth inning when Bob Castillo walked 4 men. The Dodgers got their first run in the 5th inning when Steve Yeager touched Ron Guidry for a home run to right to make it 5-1. Guidry was replaced by Ron Davis in the 8th. Davis walked the first 2 men he faced, and Goose Gossage came in time to permit Jay Johnstone a single that scored Darrell Thomas to make it 5-2. Greg Nettles squashed the Dodgers when he dove for Steve Garvey's hard smash down the line. Gossage retired the Dodgers in order in the 9th to preserve a Yankee 5-3 win and give the New Yorkers the first game of the 1981 World Series. This is Bud Fotopoulos reporting.
Tomorrow in New York, 5 o'clock in the afternoon our time, right here on Channel 13, Game 2 of the World Series. Former Dodger Tommy John on the mound for the Yankees, and Burt Hooton, the Dodgers' best pitcher over the past month, will be starting for L.A.
With their backs to the wall seems to be how the Dodgers play best. But if LA's the comeback team of the year, then Jimmy Cagney must be the comeback man of the year. At age 82, Cagney is back in the movies and back in his native city to throw out the first ball.
Starting lineup for the Dodgers, leading off D.V. Lopes. Batting second, Bill Russell. Then comes Dusty Baker, ever dangerous. After him, steady-going Steve Garvey. Then the power man, Ron Cey. And then Pedro Guerrero, the power-hitting youngster. Kenny Landreau, the big insertion. You've heard about that. Steve Yeager, who's great in postseason play. And then Burt Hooton, the defense, Keith.
Take the field. I mentioned a moment ago, Burt Hooton has been the Dodgers stopper. He's a big man in their pitching rotation. Now the Yankees are in position defensively, and we see Bob Watson, whose step was a bit lighter today after his first World Series hit. First time he's been in the series last night, big 3-run homer. Over at second base, you have Willie Randolph, who's been dropped down to the batting order tonight. The shortstop for New York remains Larry Milburn. Very steady last night, made one fine play. Of course, the big defensive star last night was this man, Greg Nettles. He does it every year, it seems. Moving to the outfield, Dave Winfield, who had a marvelous throw out of the corner to get Ron Cey last night, trying to stretch a single. Over in center field is Jerry Mumphrey, who controls all of that big acreage out in the middle. And in right field tonight, the biggest change in the New York lineup, it is Oscar Gamble. He's in the lineup because he's a left-handed batter playing right field. Behind the plate, Rick Cerrone doing the catching. And on the mound for the New York Yankees, the sinker bowler, Tommy John. Record reflected there. Of course, Tommy left Los Angeles as a free agent and came over to New York. So the Dodgers know it. They know what they have to do against him.
Absolutely correct, Keith. They know him. He knows them. And interesting meeting. There's Tom Lasorda. I was with Tom and my classmate at New York University, the general manager of the Dodgers, Al Campanis. And they agreed, as you look at the dimensions of the stadium, that, yes, indeed, Tommy John can be bunted on. Jim Palmer had it exactly right, and Tommy Lasorda admitted it in the pregame show. So look for some bunting tonight, and look for the Dodgers trying to find ways to negate the third baseman's greatness, Greg Nettles. There are the umpires. Keith.
And it's a National Leaguer back at the plate tonight, calling the balls and strikes. Terry Cooney, American League at first. Doug Harvey, National League second. Dick Stello, National League third. Larry Barnett, American League down the left field line. And Rich Garcia, American League down the right field line. We're ready to play baseball. As Davy Lopes steps in game number 2. And the first pitch breaks off inside for ball 1. The temperature is just marvelous for this time of the year. It's been a beautiful day. There's one on the outside corner to make it 1-1.
One could see autumn sitting careless on the granary floor, in the words of Keats.
2 balls and 1 strike.
Position
Nettles is short at third, and Watson is short at first. Obviously, New York's thinking along the same lines as the Dodgers had to be thinking, because there's no question. But Tommy he's not bad, but he is not the quickest man off the mound in fielding the ball. And Lopes represents good speed, but Davis strokes it to center, and he runs Mumphrey back about 15 feet to fall down. A well-hit drive. That ball was up a little bit.
Well, you're going to see that, Keith. The key to beating Tommy John is to make him throw strikes. That count was 3-1. He had to throw a strike. He threw a belt high one, and Lopes hit the ball hard. The Dodgers hit the ball hard last night, but so far most of them are getting caught.
Interesting you say that. Lou Piniella said, you know, they were hitting the ball very hard.
Russell lays one down. It goes down the chalk and crosses. Foul ball. This is the 33rd birthday for Bill Russell.
There's your bunt. Look for it early. That's really a storyline going into the game. It may change during the course of the game, but great playing in close. Notice, Jim?
Well, he has to respect, and when you bunt before the first strike, what it does, it gives you the opportunity maybe to hit a ball by Nettles. If you do it with one strike on you and you bunt and the ball goes foul like that, then he's going to play back, because not too many people bunt with 2 strikes. Only the gurus and the people that really know how to bunt well.
Nettles has dropped back now beyond the bag. Now he comes walking back in even with it. Count of 1 strike on Russell. The ball bounces at the plate. This is also the birthday, since we're talking about birthdays, Billy Russell's 33rd. Whitey Ford's, sorry Whitey, 53rd. Of course, that's kind of nice. That's mine too. And Mickey Mantle yesterday was 50. As a bouncer for Randolph at second. And you've got 2 out.
Mickey Mantle, 50. I don't believe it. Robert Merrill, who sang the anthem the way he always does, so magnificently, got the thrill of his life, he told me. He had a concert last night in Dallas and flew up on the plane today with Mickey. Said he was like a kid all over again. Merrill, a rabid Yankee fan.
Here's Dusty Baker. Breaking pitch gets the inside corner for a strike. 2-strike count. Dodger left fielder. Punch to the right side. Randolph comes scampering across. Makes a fine play, and the inning is over. So the Dodgers are done in order by Tommy John after 1/2 inning. No score. Yankees coming up.
Free leading off. Larry Milburn batting second. Dave Winfield third. Oscar Gamble is in there tonight. Reggie still not ready. Greg Nettles, you know all about him. Bob Watson, keep pitching him up and out, and he'll be a star. Rick Cerrone next. Willie Randolph, and finally, Tommy John. Keith with the defense.
Of course, Bob Lemon, the Yankee manager, sitting in the dugout. His game plan in order as he looks out to the Dodgers. And at first base, you'll see Steve Garvey, whose bat is a hard one to keep quiet for very long. Over at second base, Davy Lopes. Moving to the shortstop, it is Bill Russell, who had a fine night last night. Over at third is quite a superior third baseman in his own right, Ron Say. Moving to the outfield, Dusty Baker. Into center field now, there is a change for the Dodgers. Kenny Landreau, he knows the acreage here at Yankee Stadium from his time with the Minnesota Twins. He is a skilled center fielder. And Pedro Guerrero, who played in center last night, goes back to more familiar territory, right field. With a left-hander pitching, the catcher remains Steve Yeager, who had a home run to the right side last night. And on the mound, it is Burt Hooton, the Dodger stopper. Now, Hooten, who was the National League Championship Series MVP, 3-0 with an 0.41 earned run average, gave up only 1 earned run in 21 2/3 innings in 3 postseason games. He won the big one when they had to have one against the Astros. He still throws the knuckle curve, which can do a couple of different things. He also throws a hard screwball that breaks the way a screwball would, as you'd expect from a right-hander, down and away from the left-handed batters. The Yankee batting order shuffled some, as you noted, with Jerry Mumphrey going to the leadoff spot. He is a switch hitter and goes up left-handed against the right-hander Hooten. First pitch from Burt is in for a strike. The temperature 61, humidity is comfortable, the wind is mild. Clear skies. Now the pitch is low. Two balls and 1 strike. I was visiting with Happy, and I called Bob Lemon the unflappable one last night. I'll tell you this. Happy Hooten fits in that category, too.
Well, he said he felt fine. The Dodgers, their 3 starters have been pitching with only 3 days rest, other than normal 4, and he said his arm feels fine. He doesn't mind doing that.
He, however, walks the leadoff man for New York in the bottom of the first inning. And that will bring up Larry Milburn, who is skilled at putting the ball down. He's a fine bunter. And with that in his mind, Ron Say drifts in at third. Mumphrey has speed. Toward the shortstop, Russell. Over for 1, throw back to first by Davy Lopes is not nearly in time, as Mumphrey went rolling into second base. The ball was not hit very sharply, and they could not turn the double play.
Milburn really gets down from the left side in a hurry, as you will see right here. There it was. Thing I like about Hooten, I've known him for years. He's a close personal friend, plays in my golf tournament every year. Forget the knuckle curve, forget everything else. This is a man of character. He will never give in. He throws a knuckle curve, but he will never knuckle under.
Dave Winfield standing at the plate. Ample proof you better get him early. To say at third, bobbles, goes to second. They get him by a whisker at second. They would not have gotten Winfield at first.
And Keith, as we look at this again, ball sharply hit, troublesome bounce for Ron. You see the drop, and then the quick recovery and throw just in time for the 4th. Bounce throw, but easy for Lopes to corral. In the meantime, coming up, Oscar Gamble, being played by Bob Lemon because of his power, because of the way he came through in the Milwaukee series. Yet one has to wonder, Bobby Mercer on the bench with a lifetime average in the National League against Hooten of .382.
Gets a strike on Oscar.
Remember, Jim, last night we suggested in the first inning with 2 on, 2 out, that Watson's career average betokened that he might knock off the Dodgers starter last night, and indeed he did with a 3-run home run. Jerry Ross.
1 ball and 1 strike as the knuckler floats outside. The coaches, Mike Ferraro at first and Joe Altobelli at third for the New York Yankees. Yeager sets up inside. And the pitch is high and tight to make it 2-1.
Well, that's the book on Oscar Gamble. If he's going up there with one thing in mind, that's to hit the ball into the right field seats here at Yankee Stadium. He's a dead low fastball hitter. The book on him, as the Dodgers see it, is to pitch him high and tight. And I'm surprised he's thrown him 2 out of 3 pitches that are fastballs. I would think he'd be throwing him more knuckle curveballs.
By the way, for the fans out there, Reggie Jackson is very close to ready. There was doubt tonight whether or not Reggie would start. He's taking this day of rest, and then you'll see him when we get to Los Angeles.
With 2 out and a 3-1 count on Gamble. He's walked his second man in the inning.
Up comes Nettles, 9 career home runs against Jim Palmer. Look at the view. Isn't that something? And Jim will tell you, don't throw it up and out to Nettles.
Unless you want to throw home runs. But I think this is the perfect illustration of what Yankee Stadium does to a right-handed pitcher. Was the last pitch to Oscar Gamble. He has a 3-1 count. You expect a fastball, and he threw a knuckle curveball. You pitch a little bit differently in this ballpark. I mean, for Hooten to win, he's going to have to throw that breaking ball over when he gets behind. And there you saw a good hard fastball away.
Burt normally is not in that 90-mile range. He's up in the high 80s. But after he's fed you assortment of screwballs and knuckle curves, it looks pretty quick when it comes in. Foul back to make it strike 2. Edge to Hooten. Nettles, a dead pull hitter, has hit more home runs in reformed or remodeled Yankee Stadium than anybody. And you can see how tough Hooten has been on the road this year. He's been pretty tough at home, too. He's had a good season. He started off on his way to a terrific year, and then came the strike. The pitch is high, make it 1-2. Nettles last night, I thought, just missed 2 home runs.
He thought certainly he had the first one. Remember, Keith? He stood there and watched it. There's Ginger Nettles. Breaks. Lady.
Inside corner call, strike 3. Nettle walks away, and Greg didn't say one word. Good pitch by Hooten, and so the Yankees threaten, but they strand 2. And after 1 complete inning of play in game number 2 of this 1981 World Series at Yankee Stadium, we have no score. The Dodgers will be sending the middle of the order to the plate in the top of the second. It was a day of travel. Friday, the matchups there. 2 brilliant rookie pitchers. Righetti, the left-hander for New York, and Fernando Valenzuela for the Dodgers. His victory in that decisive game in Montreal. Now he comes into a ball game that is even heavier, if you will. I suspect those 2 youngsters will wear the weight well.
For a bottom of the first inning, Keith, in my opinion, that was heavy. Hooten's getting Greg without a murmur. There's Dave Righetti. Maybe even thinking about tomorrow. He is so very young. But that was heavy, getting Nettles on a called 3rd strike. Over the inside corner, knee high.
Here's Garvey, followed by Ron Cey and Pedro Guerrero. And the breaking pitch for a strike to Garvey. There's your bunt. Nettles on a bounce. His throw just in time. If Steve had been a free safety instead of a cornerback, he'd have had enough speed to get there. He misses by a half step.
But I think the point is well taken that if he had made even a decent bunt, which that wasn't, he would have been safe.
That's true. What we pointed out before the game, and even in our interview with manager Lasada about how they were going to bunt, try to negate Nettles in some way, shows you 2 things. A, they are adjusting or trying to.
Pitch pitch to say is outside.
And B, Nettles is perhaps too much on their minds. Is that possible, Jim?
After last night's game,
Another chance for Nettles.
He is so tired of looking at Nettles. Did you hear him on Robinson and on Cox and on Cleat Boyer and even throwing in Honus Wagner and Pie Traynor and Freddie Lindstrom? He's had enough of that guy.
Guerrero is at the plate. And he hits it over the mound toward the shortstop, Milberg. So, Tommy John gets the first 6 Dodgers in order. And after an inning and a half, there's no score. Bob Watson, Rick Cerrone, Willie Randolph. Cerrone in the center of a great deal of conversation around this city. Before the game, Howard talked to him.
Now, you've made your decision. You've had enough of Georgie Porgy. You want out, right?
No, I want to stay here. I love playing in New York. I grew up here. What's happened in the past is over. I know one thing, that if I do get traded, it'll be a lot easier to take if I have that World Series ring on my finger.
Number 28.
Well, 3 to go. All right, here's Bob Watson. He's playing in his first World Series, and first time up last night. Hit a 3-run home run. Kind of an interesting facet of this man Watson, whom I like very much. He was asked by a couple of television stations for a morning appearance. Loops it, right center field, base hit. He turned down the opportunity for television appearances this morning. He said, nope. My morning chore at 8 o'clock is to drive Kelly and Keith to school.
Number 10.
I have never seen a man more at peace with himself at this point in time than Bob Watson. Don't you agree, Jim? Loose and easy. He knows the National League from the long career. And if they keep pitching him up and out, he'll be the MVP.
no doubt about it, Howard. They pitched him that way last night. Hit the ball hard a couple of times, and that ball was up and maybe not as far out as the home run he hit last night, but it was up in the middle of the plate.
So we've got a base hit on the scoreboard as Cerrone has a strike.
And here you see Burt Hooton's knuckle curveball. Cerrone, again, is not a good breaking ball hitter. Much prefers to hit a slider or a fastball. Again, out over the plate. And pretty good hit and run man.
Very good.
Edge to Hooten at 2 strikes. Ball is hit to the right side. Guerrero going back and makes the catch. Carried well, didn't it?
Yep, Guerrero there in his normal position, but Cerrone doing exactly what Jim talked about. He went to right field, and that's the way he adjusts as he goes along. He's become a good hit-and-run hitter, or hitter behind the runner.
With a right-hander on the mound, Willie Randolph settles into the number 8 position in the batting order tonight. Tommy John, the pitcher, is moved to the on-deck circle. To say at third, goes to second, and they get Watson coming down for the second out. Randolph aboard on the fielder's choice, and now Tommy John.
5 career home runs, Jim.
But that's over 25 years. As old as he is.
When he started in baseball, back in the days when pitchers were hitting before the DH, he toted a 40-ounce hickory bat up there.
And he also choked up very much. I remember pitching against him in the late 60s. I thought he was always a threat when he came to the plate, but he hasn't hit since 1978. So I'm not sure how much. He was out here early taking batting practice.
And begging, too, because I was over there watching him. Every time he hit one, he was hollering hit.
Oh, you see the second half earned run averages, and now you understand about Burt Hooton and what he's meant to the Dodgers.
In case you'd like to know, the stick he's got in his hand now is 35-35. and he hits that to Davy Lopes. And he throws to Steve Garvey, and the inning is over. So the Yankees leave another one. And after 2, there's no score in game 2.
Coming up against Tommy John, Kenny Landreau in the Dodger clubhouse before the game. Al Campanis, Tommy Lasorda discussing the starting lineup. Campanis pointing out that the scouts reported that Landreau killed the Yankees when he was in the American League. Well, maybe not killed them, but often hurt them, sometimes with the bunt. So Lasorda said we'll go with Landreau, and we will have him bunt if the occasion suits. Whereupon Rick Monday, and Lasorda said, watch Monday, came charging in and said, Skipper, it's my last time around. How could you put me in yesterday against Guidry's Heat and let Landry go in when John doesn't throw that heat? He did it, of course, in great fun.
Landreau, Yeager, and Hooten.
I've always had a theory about Tommy John that he throws so many down and away fastballs to right-handers that he has more trouble against left-handed hitters than he does right-handed hitters.
Interesting point. By the way, mistakenly, I said Landry. I'm thinking of Tom's comeback against the Rams last Sunday. Landreau, of course.
John has the edge. He's at 2 strikes. Landreau had a big thing going. He was at a .327 average in May. But he never quite regained that stroke in the second season. Little check swing roller. Back to the mound. And you've got one out.
And no bunt.
Number 7, Steve Yeager.
Here's the man that homered for the Dodgers last night, Steve Yeager.
Kenny never has gotten back to that 31-game hitting streak form that he had with Minnesota.
Though he was hitting the ball sharply, a live bat in the early going this season. One out as Yeager steps in and takes ball 1.
But I think when you talk about a player that goes from one league to another, a lot of times it takes time for him to learn the pitchers in that league, and I think it takes less time for the pitchers to learn him. And probably the second time around, they made some adjustments.
Well, if anybody in town ought to know Tommy John, it should be Steve Yeager, right?
I would think.
What's interesting about John, he's faced 7 batters and thrown 6 ground balls, which is, as you said, he is a sinker ball.
Harry Milburn fields it just above the navel and throws him out.
Of course, I wouldn't call that a ground ball. That was more like a line, one-hop line shot.
Burt Hooton. Pitcher. Number 46.
The thing coming at you like that with overspin on it, difficult to handle. Larry did a good job with it. Here comes Burt Hooton.
But what he did do, Keith, was stay in front of the ball.
Right.
And you saw Ron Say do the same thing earlier. The ball's hit hard. The important thing is to try to keep the ball in front of you. The way to do that is to get in front of it.
Happy takes a strike.
When you see a situation like this, Jim, John knows the Dodgers know him. Another call strike. Who's got the edge in your view?
Well, I talked to Tommy, and he has never pitched against the Dodgers. So you would think that he knows them, I guess, from playing, but never ever pitching against them.
He strikes out Burt Hooton, so he has retired. The batting order in order after 2.5, no score. Mumphrey, Milburn, Winfield, second time around now for the Yankees against Burt Hooton in a scoreless ball game going to the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Jerry Mumphrey.
Mumphrey opened the ball game with a walk. He was one of 2 Yankees that walked in the 1st inning. He let that one go early, and it sails outside.
Troublesome hitter, Mumphrey. You know, Jim, good batting eye. Bats from either side, not weak on either side.
He hit a little bit better left-handed.
Guerrero for out number 1.
There's Fu Manchu in the bullpen. That's what Lasorda called him today. Said, I don't want to see that guy. Rudy May with the glasses.
Dom Scala, who does the bullpen catching, coaching out there. Ball one. Milburn to center field for Landreau. 2 down.
Left fielder, Dave
Now Winfield. Winfield took the collar last night.
Would you call Hooten a stamina pitcher, or does he have trouble after 7 innings, Jim?
Well, I don't know if he has trouble, but he rarely pitches more than 7 innings, and maybe that's because Steve Howe has been very effective for the Dodgers in the bullpen. But talking about this particular inning, you have Winfield up here. You've got the 2 guys that can run out and ahead of him. And if you want to face Dave Winfield, you want to face him with 2 outs and nobody on base.
By the way, you hedged on a prior question. Who's got the advantage, John or the Dodgers?
I would think Tommy John would have the advantage.
Why?
Well, because if Tommy doesn't pitch that many complete games either, but if I had to go to the bullpen late in the game, Steve Howe's a tremendous young left-handed reliever, but I think that you'd have to go with Gossett.
Popped him up. Yeager coming to the dugout. There'll be no play. It's in the crowd. Every time I see a catcher run to the dugout, my mind flips back to Earl Batty running into the dugout at Dodger Stadium.
1965.
Whoa.
Willie Davis is 1 for 3. Slide to center, roll to first, single to center. Curveball, popped up. Mincher and Batty hustling over. Need a man, and Batty drops to his knees. He hit that railing very hard. It's a padded railing, but he went in there straight out. It was as if somebody walked up and whacked him. There's the replay. There's Mincher, but it's Batty we're worrying about. Bam. Drove him to his knees.
He didn't run very fast, but
he was there. Great catch. I remember a play Keith and I saw at Fenway by Butch Hobson when Butch was with the Red Sox. Just an extraordinary.
Monday Night Baseball, I tried to catch him when he went down the runway, and then I decided I was going to have to do it with my right arm.
Bill Russell throws him out. And so, Happy Hooten does a good job in the bottom of the 3rd, and we've played 3 with no score. Lopes, Russell, Baker, second time around for the Dodgers against Tommy John. Before the game, Howard talked to Tommy.
Do you feel that the extra rest the Yankees have had will benefit them, or oddly, maybe hurt them?
Howard, I hope it'll help us. Our pitchers, other than myself and Russell, are power pitchers. And I think with the extra rest, it will give Righetti and Guidry, Gossage and Davis, I think, a little more pop on their fastball, and that's what they live and die with. I've been throwing, during the off times here, I've been throwing a half an hour, 45 minutes every day, trying to keep my arm down, trying to wear it down so that I don't overthrow. When I tend to have too much rest, my sinker doesn't sink, and that's when I get in trouble.
He comes outside to Davy Lopes for ball 1. I think in all the case of virtually all sinker ball pitchers, so they do better when that arm's a little tired. Lopes swings and misses for 1-1.
You agree with that, Jim?
Well, definitely the only ball that's been really hit hard tonight is the 3-1 pitch to Davy Lopes, and it was a leadoff batter. Tommy, I'm sure, was trying to find out what he had and got behind him, threw him a belt-high fastball, and he hit it hard to center field.
Good point. Meantime, 7 of 9 batters, as John has thus far at least been impeccable, have hit the ball on the ground.
2-1.
There's Burt Hooton.
To the right side, Randolph. 1 out. Last night, Lopes grounded out, 3rd to 1st, short to 1st, 2nd to 1st. The only guy he missed was Watson. He was trying to get that one over to Bobby.
Well, that may not be a bad idea, because if I was going to have to pick somebody in the Yankee infield that I wanted to hit the ball to, it would be Bobby Watson. Not a bad defensive player, but compared to the other gloves in the Yankee infield.
Billy Russell looks at a pitch low and outside. And what do you know? Tommy John has just pumped one up there at 86 miles an hour.
I don't believe it.
That's an upset. Ball is hit over Nettles' head. Milburn backhands it. Long throw is in time.
Well, it's not 9 out of 11. There's Sally John. What a lovely girl. And what they went through. And what a remarkable story about their son Travis and the way he's recovered. There's the play again. 9 out of 11 batters have hit the ball on the ground thus far against Tommy John.
Tommy yelled at me tonight, and I was leaving to come upstairs. He said, "Lie a little bit about my fastball, will you? If it gets over 80, take a picture." I swear he threw a fastball 77 miles an hour in one game this summer, Jim.
I'm sure he got the batter out with it.
He is a clever pitcher. It's like a clever boxer, you know?
Well, he doesn't have a whole lot of options. I mean, you know what he's going to do. He's going to throw that sinker away. He's going to occasionally throw your breaking ball. You just can't wait for it. It just doesn't come up there as fast as you think it's going to.
What a beautiful shot from the blink. The big ballpark.
That's the America out of Houston, Texas. Pilot is Captain John Moran, Spring, Texas. My cameraman, Billy Sullivan.
And Sally John, who's expecting November 24th.
That is correct.
1-2 pitch. Struck out Baker. 3 up, 3 down for the Dodgers. Top of the 4th.
I've had to write some tough things about some tough guys. But there's one guy I can't write anything bad about. His unique brand of baseball has made him a living legend. So have his commercials. They got me to try his favorite beer, light beer from Miller. Light's less filling and it really tastes great. So I bought this light for that renowned yet humble man, Art Throneberry.
Cheer up, Billy. One day you'll be famous just like me.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
The lineup of ABC Sports presentations on Sunday. The New York City Marathon starting at 10:30 Eastern Time. That's going to be sent over much of the world. College Football 81, Sports Beat. Now we'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning for Oscar Gamble, Greg Nettles, and Bob Watson. Popped him up. Davy Lopes wipes the frost off of it and throws it over to Billy Russell.
I must say, even though it's only the 4th inning, the way these guys are working, the rapidity of the game, it's a reminder of that extraordinary first game of the '49 World Series between these two teams, when, in the bottom of the 9th, Henrik hit one off Big Nuke to make it 1-0. That abruptly, it was over.
Greg Nettles fouls it away at the plate for strike 1.
You were here then, weren't you, Jim?
What year was that?
49.
I was living in New York at the time. I don't think I made that game, though. They have television back then?
Punch to left, drops, base hit in front of Baker. Second hit for the Yankees.
Now there was the time Nettles went with the pitch, Jim.
Well, it was the fastball out over the plate, but I think what happened was on the last time up, Nettles struck out on a fastball inside, and Greg had a little bit of respect for Hooten's ability to get the ball in on him, and he just kind of poked out to left, which, as you said, he did. Drove in 3 runs against Oakland.
Bob Watson is up now with 1 out. Nettles on first base. That ball is sharply struck to the corner, foul. That's to the right side, foul.
When Watson's bat is hot, when it's live, he can kill you in any direction. Right, Jim?
Well, when you hit 300 for a lifetime batting average, Howard, you usually are not a pull hitter. And as you said last night, we saw him hit the ball into the right field stands. Hooten's first pitch this time up was a hanging knuckle curveball, and he wrapped it down the left field line. It's very hard to defense a hitter that hits the ball all over the ballpark.
Bouncer for Say. Over to second to get the lead man. No effort at first on Watson, so Bob will stay there with 2 out.
Here comes Rick. Despite all of the badinage, if you want to call it that, between him and Mr. George Steinbrenner, there is an underlying respect, I think, each for the other, and maybe even a mutuality of affection. There's Mr. Steinbrenner, way up in the corner.
On the ground to Russell. Goes the short way, and the inning is over. So Burt Hooton yields a single to Nettles. Yankees strand another one, and we remain scoreless through 4.
The famed monuments in the Yankee bullpen. You just passed Larrapin, Lou Gehrig. There's Miller Huggins. And, of course, the Babe. Always the Babe. And there is the Yankee Clipper. And there, of course, Joe McCarthy. And Mickey Mantle, who arrived here today, 50 years old, and Casey Stengel, Charles Dillon.
All right, we move now to Steve Garvey. There's Thurman Munson, the late Thurman, Yankee captain who was killed in a plane wreck.
I love that man, and I don't apologize for it. I'm proud of it. First hit.
Base hit, left center. So now the Dodgers finally get a base hit against Tommy John. Finally get a man on base after he had retired 12. And here's Ron Say.
It's impossible to come to this ballpark, to go out into that bullpen, and not be literally overwhelmed by the memories that those plaques you've just seen provoke.
Tommy John has thrown just 37 pitches so far in the ball game.
Jacob Ruppert. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Now Ron Say steps in and hits the ball to the right side. Going foul. Close enough, however, to bring a murmur from the crowd and a sharp intake of breath from Thomas John.
Interesting, isn't it, Jim? 4 perfect innings. Suddenly the grounded single with eyes into center field, and then the Ron Say shot to right. Just foul.
Well, he made a fairly good pitch on Garvey. Got it maybe a little bit more in the middle of the plate than he wanted to, but I think what you're seeing is Ron Say trying to go hit behind the runner. As we said, doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of runs scored. Maybe you'll want to move a runner along or try to hit ball to right field and get the first and third situation.
You look at the plaques, you think of the memories. Say's ball just foul, and Don Lawson's perfect game in the '56 World Series, the Dodgers and the Yankees. Sandy Ambrose hit one that a lot of people thought was fair. It was just foul, and the perfect game was preserved.
1-1 count on Ron Say. Garvey on first base. Nobody out. Tommy trying to hold him close.
Seemed only just, Jim, because the year before, Ambrose had deprived Berra with the remarkable left field foul line catch, and the Dodgers lost.
Garvey goes. Ball is bounced toward third. Nettles comes in. Another good play by Greg. That time a little running from Garvey's part, and they escape any possibility of the double play.
Here's just a high hopper. Nettles coming in, catches it a little bit on the short hop.
Not an easy play, Jim.
Well, for Greg Nettles, I wouldn't say it's too difficult. But I think what you're seeing is Lasorda realizing he's going to have to start some runners, get something going. He had Garvey running on the play. Otherwise, you may have had a force at second base. Now we have a runner in scoring position.
And the batter is Guerrero.
And a tough kid here. Good power. An unafraid hitter against anybody.
That's hit to Milburn, the shortstop. Whirls, goes to third. Ball gets away. Bad play. Another look at it. Like the ball might have nipped Steve coming down. He had a poor angle to throw the ball to the third baseman. If he's going to throw it to third, looked to me like he had to keep the ball up.
Well, it's like the base running mistake that Say made last night.
But this time Garvey gets away with it.
Well, I think that's a little bit of inexperience on Larry Milburn's part. I think if Bucky Dent was out there, he would realize he had an easy out at first base. That's a play you have to make, and you can't be any borderline.
Error on Milburn. The error allowing Garvey to survive at third. A fielder's choice for Guerrero. And here is Landreau. Foul. 2 strikes, 1 penny.
First big situation for John. Biggest scoring threat in the game. First runner to reach third. Right there. Steve Gaunt.
Dodgers trying to get on the board. In the top of the 5th inning.
There's a big hole on the right side. There's Willie Randolph is playing Landreau way up the middle.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
I'll play Landreau on a hunch, Lasorda said in the clubhouse before the game. He's been good against the Yankees. He'll get a shot.
Well, Tommy John's not a strikeout pitcher.
That was close.
I've got to give Landreau some credit for knowing the strike zone.
True.
Just missed.
2-2. Fouled away. Guerrero was running from first on the pitch.
Interesting on that call. You admitted it was close, Jim. National League umpire. Would have thought he might have gotten a strikeout.
Interesting, too, that Guerrero running, trying to stay away from the DP here on 2-2. The ball is swung on and missed. Landreau strikes out. 2 down.
But he's not out of it yet because always troublesome to the Yankees, Steve Yeager.
And there's one of the typical Tommy John mystery pitches. Watch it drop.
Are you suggesting that he scuffed the ball, Jim?
Well, if I was ever going to cheat, you usually do it with 2 outs when you need a strikeout, and Tommy John needed a strikeout right there.
Now, what does that mean? Is this guilt by implication?
It could be.
Steve Yeager, in recalling last night's moment of joy for him, the home run to right, could only recall in his entire career hitting the ball out of the ballpark to the right side 1 other time. And he took him 30 minutes to think of that one. Watches that foul. He is a full hitter.
He's also a pretty good fastball hitter. He jumped on Guidry's fastball and put it in the right field seats. I would imagine Tommy is either going to throw him sinkers away, try to get him out with a breaking ball.
That's foul.
I have great respect for Yeager. He wants out, of course. He wants to get away because he's fallen into second string status with the development of Socha.
2 strikes now. The edge goes to Tommy John with 2 on and 2 out. And no score in the ball game in the top of the 5th inning. That's hit off John's glove. Tommy flagged it down, throws to first, pulls Watson off the back. Watson makes the tag, takes a blow from Yeager coming down, and he gets out of it. pieces flew off of Bobby Watson in the collision at first base. But if Tommy John doesn't flag this down, it's into center field for a base hit.
He got a break on where it came down, I'll tell you that. But he was quick in his reaction.
There's a collision there at first. Two big men, full speed, and the Dodgers come away empty, and the game remains scoreless. Another look at that play at first base. Jim felt that Yeager had stepped out of the base path to interfere.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't call it interference. I would good hard baseball. I think he sensed that Bobby Watson had to come down the line to catch the throw that was a little bit off, and felt he might be able to jar the ball out of his glove. You can see him just kind of hit him with his left shoulder. And you just said, not too many Dodgers play with the intensity of Steve Yeager.
In the manner of a linebacker.
Bottom of the fifth, no score. Willie Randolph, Tommy John, and Jerry Mumphrey. And Burt Hooton is in there with a strike.
This is a heck of a ball game. There's Bobby Watson, mounting tension, everything that baseball's advertised to be. Yesterday, Dullsville until the Dodger threatened the 8th inning. We're at 1-1 now.
Burt does not want Randolph aboard. It figures John would try to run him over. That's hit sharply and off lopes into short right field. Another look at it.
Right, fastball away, hit hard. Ball just comes up.
Bad hop, they'll give him a single.
The pitcher, Tommy John.
I would think it might be an error. Only because he got in front of it. Ball was hit hard.
It is.
Yep, it's an error.
I've always had more compassion for my infielders than some of the scorers.
Yeah. That ball was playable.
But not an easy chance. By any means.
They're expecting John to bunt him over. Tommy squares and takes it for a strike. Good bunt.
A beauty.
So the sacrifice is accomplished by the Yankee pitcher. One out, Randolph at the turn for the top of the order, Mumphrey.
So just as suddenly the pressure shifts to Hooten. It had been on John, especially with the ill-advised Milburn throw to third, trying to get Garvey when he had a bad angle for the throw. Now, runner in scoring position for the Yankees.
High fly ball lifted out into left center for Ken Landreau. 2 down.
The shortstop, Larry Milbourne.
Now the Yankee shortstop, Larry Milburn, comes up with 2 out.
And they've been handling him very well. I would say if when he bats left-handed, he's a much better high ball hitter. And he went 0 for 4 last night. He's been hitting that little ground ball to shortstop because they've been keeping the ball down in the strike zone.
Just inside. Same place. 2 balls and no strikes.
Connie Milburn. Larry's bride.
Hi, Lord. Hi, Larry.
And here's a good example why Milburn hit .313. With Winfield behind him, he should get a pretty good pitch to hit right here.
Took it for a strike. There's that knuckle curve.
Oh, did you see that dip?
Rather difficult pitch to hit. He's probably glad he didn't hit it. Maybe would have been a soft ground ball to the right side.
2-2, 2 out. Randolph off second. And it's outside.
A little sticky even there. Bobby Mercer. Incredible, his continuing popularity. He's looked upon as a kind of original Yankee here by the New York fans.
That's because he was going to be the next Mickey Mantle.
Well, that hurt him for a while.
Punch down the left side, going to drop for a base hit. Randolph comes around third. Yankees lead 1-0. Double for Milburn.
See a high knuckle curveball. It hangs out over the plate.
But you've got to give Milburn credit. He went with the pitch.
Well, he tries to do that almost on whether it would be a fastball or a breaking ball, but that's what he does best. He gets the bat on the ball. He has excellent speed. And he really has gone from a goat to a hero.
Yes, he has.
He made the pivotal error.
Amazing. And even yesterday, when they got him out every time, once you'll remember, he hit that savage grounder off the pitcher's foot. The ball lay there appropriately for the pitcher, and they got him out. Otherwise, he would not have had a hitless game. So, an earned run off Burt Hooton. Final.
Winfield is up now with Milburn at second. Pitch is high. And it's high when it's high today. He's 6'6".
It's not an earned run, I don't believe, though. I think because of the error.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not an earned run.
Pitchers know about those things.
I know. Especially you.
Of course, I know some hitters, by the time they hit the first base bag, they already know what their batting average is.
Lopes knocks it down. Got to hurry. Gets in. Look at that one. That time Lopes stayed in front of it, and that was a cannon shot. Watch that thing ricochet right up his arm, right to his chest. But he's able to pick it up and throw out Winfield. But the Yankees get on the board to lead after 5. 1-0. Back with more after this word from our local station.
Game 2 features pitchers Tommy John and Burt Hooton in a strict law and order story, as enemy batsmen can muster only 3 hits through the first half of the game. But in the bottom of the 5th, Dodger trouble lurks around the corner.
2 outs. Give it hell. 2 out.
Larry Milburn at bat. Randolph scores the game's first run, and now the Dodgers have to search once more for that comeback spark.
Who, me? Take my picture. Me? Here, use my Panasonic video camera and portable VHS recorder.
Reggie, I don't know how.
It's easy. All the controls can be attached to the camera, so you can take pictures. Smile. And with Panasonic, you get instant replay right through the camera, so you know you've got the shot. Take my picture. I got it. I got it.
I got it.
Get the fun of outdoors indoors with Panasonic Omnivision.
Reggie Vision.
A shot from the Goodyear Blimp America from Houston, Texas. The pilot, Captain John Moran from Spring, Texas. Our cameraman, Bill Sullivan. And what a glorious sight it is. And for Yankee fans, that young man at the moment is a most pleasant sight. Larry Milburn, the shortstop, acquired from Seattle. Nobody paid much attention to him at all. But in the playoffs, what a player he's been. His line double down the left field foul line, scoring Willie Randolph with the lone run thus far of the ball game. 1-0 Yankees. Here's Keith.
Burt Hooton, Davy Lopes, and Bill Russell. Burt struck out swinging first time he faced Tommy John. Tommy labored a little bit in the 5th. Man he got was Skinny Landry. Struck him out. He's got a 1-1 count on Burt right now.
Really, that seems to be the difference. Last night, the Yankees, 4 of their 5 runs came with 2 outs. The 3-run home run by Watson, the 2-out single by Piniella, and we had the 2-out base double down the left field line by Milmore tonight. If you're going to win, you're going to have to get clutch hits. So far, the Yankees have gotten them.
Burt's gone.
to get them against Scott McGregor.
Not too many
Shut
people.
them out 5 times now, hasn't he?
Yes, that he has. He beat them in September 1-0 and 3-0. And catch this, he beat them 1-0 here at Yankee Stadium, struck out 11 and only threw 94 pitches. So they didn't hit the ball very regularly that night.
Davey Lopes, the top of the order, 4th strikeout for Tommy John. He has walked no one so far in the ball game and allowed the Dodgers only 1 base hit at the leadoff single to Garvey in the top of the 5th inning. Out on Lopes now is 1-1.
Well, on Friday we see the great young one, Fernando Valenzuela.
2 great ones. 2 great young ones.
And young Dave Righetti. Yes, you're right. Youngest man ever to pitch a shutout. He was 9 days short of 21.
To Nettles at 3rd. Tom Lasorda has a recurring case of dyspepsia every time a ball goes over.
Youngest man ever to pitch a shutout in a World Series game, 9 days short of 21 when he did it. Was a kid who I thought had fair at that point in time to become a great golfer. That never happened. The kid was Jim Palmer, sitting next to me now. On Friday, Valenzuela will be 9 days short of 21. Interesting coincidence, you know?
I'm rooting for a rainout.
You want to be the youngest, huh?
Doesn't really matter.
You remember that game?
Vaguely. Only because I was so scared. I was pitching against Koufax. Just wanted to go out there and have a fairly good game because I figured he was going to win. He won most of the rest of the games he pitched that year.
66 World Series. Remember the catch Kurt Blefary made? Nobody believed it. Baltimore Memorial Stadium.
Willie Davis.
Suddenly 3 balls.
Count 3-1 to Bill Russell. Shot down the 3rd base line. Base hit. Could be 2. Russ takes a turn, takes a look, and says no thanks. Single.
Not on Winfield's arm.
Well, I think they learned their lesson last night when Say was thrown out and on what would be a routine double.
But not at runs present running ability. And what's the old rule, Jim? If you're going to have to slide, don't try to get there.
Not trailing by 4 runs.
Exactly.
You realize how close Nettles came to getting that?
Well, he's also was even with the bag, and I think respecting the fact that Billy Russell may lay one down.
Dusty Baker looks, it's outside. That's foul.
Jim, at this point, how does Tommy look to you? Do you see any evidence of weakening? Does the Russell single have any portent for you?
No, he did go 3-0 on Bill, and again, the balls that have been hit hard off Tommy tonight have been when he's behind in the count. I would think, though, Bob Lemon is very aware that he has not, I think, pitched 18 innings in the last 25 days. We'll get somebody up in the 7th inning in the bullpen, just throwing easily in case he runs into problems.
That's for Nettles. Over to second, and the inning is over. So the Dodgers are shut away from anything exciting in the top of the 6th. Yankees lead it 1-0. There's your George Washington Bridge, aglow tonight on the 50th anniversary. Crosses the river. Stadium's there in the background. Across that bridge, you go to Jersey.
The Hudson River, all of the glory. Way in the background, the Meadowlands. And you see the lights because of the racing going on there right now. Knock it all you want. This is it, the Big Apple.
Oscar Gamble fouls at the plate. And while a new baseball goes to Burt Hooton, this telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball prohibited. Foul ball at the plate, strike 2.
Jim, what is to you the key difference between this year's Yankee team and last year's?
Speed. By acquiring Jerry Mumphrey and Dave Winfield, what they've done is they shored up their defense in the outfield. Last year when we did the Kansas City playoffs, you could just look on AstroTurf and say the Yankees were maybe one of the slowest teams in baseball. Now they have Winfield and Mumphrey, not only can hit, but can certainly go get him with the best of them in the outfield.
Gamble lifts the fly ball to center. For Ken Landreau, 1 out.
The third baseman, Dave Nichols.
You weren't happy with your outfield for quite a while. How do you feel about it now? No different, right?
They're wonderful. Now, I think you saw Winfield's effectiveness. The ball hit by Nettles in the last inning normally would be a double. He can play off the line because he knows Winfield not only has a great throwing arm, but he gets to the ball maybe quicker than any outfielder in the American League.
Not hit by Nettles, forgive me, by
Nettles. Excuse
me.
me.
Past Nettles.
Yes.
Oh.
Just a matter of semantics.
Of course. Of course.
You all right?
How's your cold?
Oh. Greg Nettles up there takes it on the inside corner. That makes it 1-1. 2-2 pitch to Nettles is hit high in the air to the right side, but it's inside the ballpark for Guerrero. 2 out.
Oh boy, we're coming down to the final 3, and what a game this is.
Bob Watson. Single and a fielder's choice. Toward the hole, Russell backhands it. Nice play by Billy. So Hooten gets the Yankees in order in the bottom of the 6th. And after 6, 1-0 New York. Scoring summary, pretty simple. Randolph safe on an error by Davy Lopes. Tommy John sacrificed him to second. Larry Milburn brought him home with a double down the left field line. Is off field. Here's Steve Garvey, followed by Ron Cey, Pedro Guerrero.
That lineup speaks for itself. John perhaps beginning to get some pitches up. Lemon has to watch John closely. Every pitch, 1-run ball game, and again, mounting tension.
Steve Howe is up in the Dodger pen now, just starting to loosen up as John misses outside Tommy in 6 innings. Has allowed 2 singles. He has struck out 4. He has walked no 1. He has thrown 67 pitches through 6. Garvey hits it sharply to left field, base hit. And up to there, he had 14 outs on the ground out of the total of 18. So Steve Garvey with his 2nd successive single.
Well, here's a supposedly sinker. Kind of gets it more or less thigh high. Garvey has 2 of the 3 hits. And as they say, the most important batter that you're usually going to face is the leadoff man. You want to keep him off the bases.
Ron Cey is up there now, takes ball 1. Back in the 5th, Garvey singled, got as far as 3rd in that 5th inning. Ron Cey bounced out to Nettles. Ron Davis is now up in the New York pen. He was ineffective last night, could not get the ball in the strike zone. These are the guys right now facing John who make up the meat and potatoes of the Los Angeles attack. Dusty Baker would be the other man. That ball is hit high in the air to the right side. Oscar Gamble going back to the track. He's got some room. He makes the catch. And Garvey has to come back to first base.
Now that's the 2nd consecutive time you saw Cey try to go that way. The last time up a near home run, but foul. Watch this. Would you call that inside out, Jim?
Yes, and I'm sure that maybe his, he says his wrist doesn't bother him. But, and even though it's not his top hand, it's his left hand, I'm sure that would kind of make him have more or less an inside out swing.
Who was the best you ever saw at the inside out?
Roberto Clemente.
The best. What about the shining moon?
Wally Moon?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, he had a pretty good stroke for the Coliseum.
1 strike count as Denise watches her husband Pedro at the plate.
I think the difference is Clemente had a good stroke for every park.
That's true. Very good.
Oh, what a series he had in 1971 against us. I think he got 13 hits and numerous ones off me.
That's laced to Milburn. Throw back note, run for it. Garvey diving back in. And that ball was ripped. Milburn was in the right place.
A little bit of luck for the Yankees.
Another ball that doesn't sink. When Tommy John, like you said in the interview, if the ball doesn't sink, he's in trouble. And I would imagine if because of Landreau being left-handed, this may be his last batter. I would think even if he gets him out, you will see Ron Davis in the 8th inning.
There he is. Big kid, tremendous power. You folks around the country who may not have seen that much of him during the year didn't see the real Davis yesterday. No question.
Landreau hits it down the left side. Winfield cruising. You don't think he's not a fine outfielder? I tell you, he is something. So they waste Garvey at first base, and the Yankees continue to lead 1-0.
Baseball fever. Catch it. It's worth it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Rich Gossage is now warming up in the New York bullpen, and it figures we're going to get a pinch hitter for the Yankee pitcher Tommy John, and bet you there's going to be Reggie Jackson. Well,
interesting, isn't it? Team grows curiouser and curious. In the meantime, did you see, catch it, baseball fever, that catch by Winfield on the drive, hit by Doogie DeCinces of your team? Was it the best catch you ever saw?
I would say so. Best one I've ever seen. I was sitting on a bench observing. Doug was tremendously disappointed. Saw a home run that was going into the third row turn into an out.
Rick Cerrone, Willie Randolph, and the pitcher's spot. Burt Hooton for the Dodgers has given New York 3 hits. The run is unearned. 2 balls and no strikes. The Dodger pen, as we told you a while ago, Steve Howe has been loosening up for some time. Dave Stewart has now joined him. Forster is now throwing for Los Angeles. Howe may be warm.
Well, I think with Hooten being the second hitter and Howe being their outstanding reliever, they may go with Forster, who pitched very well in September, coming off elbow surgery.
Hooten's now gone to 3 balls and no strikes. Cerrone leading off for New York in the bottom of the 7th. You know who else is up with the bat in his hand? The Yankee dugout, Bobby Mercer. Walks Cerrone. And let's see who comes out as the pinch batter. Willie Randolph walking to the plate as Mercer number 2.
Keith, this is the 7th inning. Remember, Jim Palmer told you folks earlier when we discussed the question of stamina that Hooten, while a great pitcher, has not that many times gone past 7 innings.
Well, also, this is the type of game, Howard, that you know every pitch might mean the ball game. Now he knows that he probably has no chance to win if he gives up another run, especially with the record the Yankees have. They've won 55
out of 56 when they lead going into the 7th inning.
Exactly, and he knows that.
Randolph at the plate. Mercer is in the on-deck circle. Say coming in at third, expecting bunt. The pitch is low and away, ball 1. Pitch is high. Ball 2. Burt looks like he might be laboring a bit here. He's a gritty fellow.
Well, I think this is where compassion from the manager sometimes stands in the way of good judgment. He's pitched a great game. He's pitched 3 outstanding games. You'd like to see him have a chance to win it, but he is tiring. There's ball 3. And Willie Randolph's not going to swing at a ball. I mean, that's the one thing that Willie can do. He makes you throw strikes. And sometimes when you get a little bit tired, the legs and the arms just don't work together.
One of the better traits that Randolph has as a ball player, and even conceding he's had an off year at the plate, he does not, he rarely spikes around.
2 aboard, walk 2 in a row. That's the 4th. base on balls. He's thrown 99 pitches. Gone to the mound, as you saw, to talk to him, and the applause building for Bobby Mercer, hitting for the pitcher, Tommy John.
I'll tell you, they have a special feeling for this kid. He also was Thurman Munson's best friend. He and his wife still stay in steady touch with Diane Munson.
Rob Lasorda coming out of the dugout there. That may be it for Burt. Joe Altobelli has come down from third base to talk to Bobby Mercer while Lasorda goes to the mound with a heavier problem. He wants the left-hander. That's Forster, unless Howe is already warmed up and ready to come. So Terry Forster is the left-hander coming out of the bullpen for the Los Angeles Dodgers, relieving Burt Hooton. Terry Forster called in out of the bullpen to relieve Burt Hooton here in the Yankee seventh, as New York, profiting from the wildness and tiredness of Burt Hooton, have Rick Cerrone at second base, Willie Randolph at first base. Lou Piniella is swinging a bat in the dugout, Forster having been announced. But it may very well be that they'll go ahead and let Bobby Mercer do what most everybody in the ballpark is expecting, bunt.
Seems almost unbelievable, but that young man, this is his first World Series appearance ever. He came to the Yankees, labeled, as Jim Palmer put it, keep Bobby in the Big Apple. That's the way they love him here. Labeled another mantle. It haunted him. He couldn't possibly have been that, and he knew it. But a quality ball player he has always been. A quality hitter. Look for 20 home runs or thereabouts, 80 or more runs batted in. 10 years with San Francisco and with the Chicago Cubs. But back where he started, and here, as I said, he represents the Big Apple.
Puts it down. It's a good one. Forster off the mound. Throws. Just get it. Just get it. Runners move up. Cerrone to third, Randolph to second. 1 out.
Well, this is a picture-perfect bunt. I didn't know he could bunt. Look at all these years. He could have been legging out hits. Bunts it to the third baseman, the guy you want to have field the ball. Even though on the Dodgers, Garvey doesn't have the good arm. Forster makes an excellent throw. Just out by, what, I guess a half a step at first.
He got down there very well.
They will walk Mumphrey to give him a play at any base and set up, obviously, the double play opportunity. Russell, second for one. Back to first. They get the double play. Well, how do you do? Forster comes in out of the bullpen and slams the door. And we've played 7, and we've still got a ball game. The Yankees leading by a score of 1-0. The high bouncer, Russell, flipped it to Lopes, and Davey burned it on to first base to get the double play. Left-handed hitter batting for Steve Yeager.
Pulled him into right field for a single last night when he came on. Jim, you had interesting, look at that. How do you spell the You had an interesting talk with Barry Foote. Get to him in a moment, if you will, about what was wrong with Deuce last night.
Darryl Thomas has come out, and he will be hitting in the pitcher spot for the Dodgers. As Gossage delivers, Johnstone hits it high to right field, driving the right fielder. Gamble to the warning track for the first out. He just missed it.
That he did, and last night, you look at Gossage's stats, and you don't realize not only does he throw 95, 96, 97 miles per hour, he has excellent control. Last night, the most important thing a pitcher can do is keep his opposite shoulder going towards home plate. He was really opening up, and I think there's probably a reason for that. Number one, he didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to get loose because Davis came in and walked the first 2 batters, and the second thing is that they haven't played. in a couple of days. So
Your attention, please.
she'll be interesting to see if he not only has the same velocity he had last night, but if he has better control.
Now, Tom Lasorda changes his mind. He calls Thomas back from the on-deck circle and sends up Reggie Smith. So as Billy Sullivan and the blimp crew looks down on Yankee Stadium, Reggie Smith steps in. He's been tormented by troubles with his shoulder and has not played a whole lot this year. And Gossage is out there with his 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
It's hard for him to swing, but this is a proud man, Reggie Smith. I talked to him about going to the American League where he could perhaps survive better as a...
Bat explodes and he pulls it to right field for a base hit.
2 straight.
And Rick Monday comes out.
2 of them in a row have pulled Gossage. I was saying, Keith, and you know Reggie so well, being a Los Angelino. Look at this again.
Well, he sawed him off on the hands. He got it right in on the hands, and Reg had enough on it to pull it.
Your attention, please.
Steve Sachs is running now for Smith at first base.
Number 50.
He has quickness. Young second baseman.
What Reggie said was, if I can't be a full-time ball player, I'm no ball player. I don't want to be around.
Here's the man that put the Dodgers in the World Series, Rick Monday.
There you see fingers across the ball, which is across the seam fastball that Gossage throws.
Foul back. Monday last night, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts.
This is Gossage.
One thing, Monday jumped on that first one. He went after it.
Well, it's not much of a mystery what's coming.
Nope.
I would wonder if he has any self-doubt. I know that when I'm throwing and I keep throwing fastballs in the middle of the plate and they keep pulling the ball, you got to make some changes.
He's got 2 strikes on Monday.
Right by him. Gets a little tense, doesn't it, folks?
After the heroic home run by Monday, to get him in the series, Rick is now struck out 4 times in 5/5. Bill Russell, the hitter. Strike.
And that's more like Goose Gossage. Not only did he throw that ball about 96 miles per hour, it was on the corner.
A little off that, didn't he, Jim?
Well, that's his breaking pitch. Doesn't throw it that much, but Bill Russell's a better fastball hitter than he is a breaking ball hitter.
Sachs goes. Russell pops it up on the left side. Nettles gets some foul ground. Inning is over. Dodgers are down now to 3 out. After 7 1/2, the Yankees lead the Dodgers 1-0 in Game 2. Yankee Stadium. And we've got some new people afield now for the Dodgers. Steve Sachs has gone in to play second base in relief of Davey Lopes. Mike Scioscia has gone behind the plate as Steve Yeager was hit for. And young Steve Howe is out on the mound, and he has been Los Angeles' most effective relief pitcher.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen.
They have not used Bobby Welch as yet, so the Dodgers, in effect, are not wholly committed to a 3-man rotation in the series. But Welch has been used in relief by Los Angeles, and particularly so in the Houston-Montreal series. Steve Howe will be pitching to Dave Winfield, Oscar Gamble, and Greg Nettles. Bottom of the 8th inning. The book on Burt Hooton, 6 innings plus. The run on the board was unearned. He allowed 3 hits. He struck out 1. He walked 4. High fly ball. Short right center. Guerrero coming over, but it is Landreau making the catch. been able to handle Winfield again tonight at the plate.
Yep.
The Dodgers are going to have Baker, Garvey, Say when they come up in the top of the 9th inning.
Long way to go in this game yet.
Oscar Gamble has been called back, and Lou Piniella is going to come out of the Yankee dugout. Lou tried into right center field for a base hit for Piniella.
A professional is a professional is a professional.
This looks to me, it's not a fastball. I think it's a slider. And it's about belt high. And he didn't quite get it in. And Lou hits the belt high pitch pretty well, as you can see.
Piniella now comes off the bases, and Bobby Brown goes out to run for him with much greater speed on the bases, and probably Brown winds up playing right field defensively for New York in the top of the 9th.
Running for Piniella.
Now Greg Nettles.
Number 13, Bobby Brown.
That's Mrs. Al. Little bit nervous.
Little looper, and it's going to drop in center field. He just reached out and popped it.
Interesting reaction shot.
Well, here's your original check swing. Greg really doesn't want to swing at the ball, but sure now he's fairly happy that he did.
That may get us Bob Welch. Bob Watson is on deck. Tom's walk was not terribly decisive on the way out there. Stewart and Welch in the bullpen. Watson, Cerrone, Randolph coming. But he's, at the moment, I'm sure, more concerned about the upcoming batter, Bob Watson, than anybody else. The plate umpire, Nick DeLosi, has gone out now and said, Tom, will you make up your mind? And he's going to make up his mind. Apparently, he's indicating the far man. That would be Stewart. That's who it is. Dave Stewart, a hard-throwing right-hander, comes on. He is the 4th Los Angeles pitcher. Howe responsible for the 2 men on the bases for New York. Bobby Brown at second base and Greg Nettles at first base. Stewart pitched an inning last night, and he walked a man, then got a double play. So he was effective last night. Now he's got the pitch to Bobby Watson. Last night, he did not face Watson.
Interesting situation, Jim Palmer. Watson, a hot hitter. Yet the temptation must be there for Lim to perhaps go with Reggie Jackson, which he's not doing. You've still got Revering, who's better defensively at first than Watson. What would you do?
Well, I think that Lemon's reasoning probably is that you have a 1-0 lead. You have Gossage on the mound. Why take a chance of hurting Reggie when you'd like to have him for the 3rd and the 4th or the 5th, 6th, and 7th games?
There he is, Mr. October, but not yet with a chance to be there.
Well, Bob Watson certainly has not been easy for anybody in these first 2 games.
He's been a hot hitter,
whether it's left-hander or right-hander.
Well, the statement he made in the morning paper was, when I feel well, I can hit anybody. I think that's very apropos.
All right, the Dodgers are in a pickle again. Yankees leading 1-0 and trying to get some more, and Dave Stewart is high to Bob Watson for ball 1. Yankees trying to win these 2 games on their home field before heading west, or games 3, 4, and 5. That's to the hole. It's past Russell for a base hit. And Brown turns 3rd. He comes to score. Yankees lead it 2-0.
So Lim was exactly right. And Watson continues to be the Yankees' hitting hero.
Well, here you see a low fastball. He just hits it. Russell is playing him up the middle. Can't quite get to it. When you have a 300 lifetime batting average after after about 17 years, you know you can hit both right-handers and left-handers.
Ball was well hit. And now it's Cerrone at the plate. Yankees now with 6 hits in the ball game. They'll go to second, and he throws the ball into right center field. Bad throw by Stewart, advances the base runner. That's a time play, and they had it timed pretty well. I don't think they really would have been able to get him. Well, it might have been close, huh?
Well, that's what they call a daylight play when you saw Russell move his glove up and you turn and fire. I think really what you're seeing is Stewart's inexperience. On Watson, threw him a fastball and missed. He throws 95 miles per hour, has excellent ability, but couldn't come back with a breaking ball, and you just...
They'll walk Cerrone intentionally. That loads him up with 1 out and a run in, and Willie Randolph will have a chance. And the pitch is low, ball 1. There's the young right-hander Pena.
You did not see Randolph go for the first pitch, as Milburn did.
No, this is, as we said before, why Willie Randolph can be a tough out. I said last night it's a mystery how he could hit 232, because he makes you throw strikes, and usually he makes you throw the fastball, and he's a good fastball.
That's lifted to the right side. Guerrero going back to the warning track. That'll score another New York run. For the Yankees as Nettles scores from third. And the Goose comes up with 2 out.
Now this could be funny.
Well, if you go back to the 1979 World Series, which you broadcast, Tim Stoddard got a key hit.
Yes.
For the Orioles.
A ground ball through the left side.
I was astounded.
Yeah.
So was he. I was not getting cheated.
I expect the fir tree to fall any minute.
He's subscribing to the philosophy that you swing hard in case you make contact.
Nothing wrong with that.
Looks doubtful, though.
Strikes him out on 3 pitches. But it's a big enough inning, perhaps, for the Yankees. The Goose's job is to keep the Dodgers at bay at the top of the 9th. New York scores 2 at the bottom of the 8th. And the 2 runs have to go to Steve Howe.
The Yankees, meanwhile, are looking for a sweep at home. And defending their turf is, of all things, an ex-Dodger, Tommy John, who, since trading Dodger blue for Yankee pinstripes 3 years earlier, is the American League's winningest pitcher. TJ's sinker ball had the Dodgers baffled, and the Yankee infield performed consistently as they had all year long. Across the diamond, the infield reads Bob Watson at first, Willie Randolph at second, Larry Milburn subbing at short, and Greg Nettles at third, rounding out the virtuoso quartet. ubiquitous Nettles and his larcenous mates are an integral part of a unique Yankee formula which so often spells relief. But the main ingredient is Rich Gossage, whose fastball is the great intimidator.
Goose Gossage takes a special kind of mentality, attitude, disposition, whatever, to be a relief pitcher, to come into the kinds of situations that a Gossage has to come into. In this vein, I talked with Goose on this very subject when he knew full well that he might have to get out there again tonight, as he has, the way he did last night. Here we are.
There is the problem of coming in the kinds of situations you invariably have to come into. You now seem so totally inured to it. Is this true? You've got a lot of scar tissue on you.
Well, I think, Howard, that I've always said the tougher the situation, the better I perform. I think that when I'm backed into a corner, I feel that that's when I'm at my best. And I think that Davis, I think that we have the best pitching staff in either league. And I think that our bullpen, I can't say enough for Ron Davis, George Frazier. The whole bullpen has done a great job this year. And Davis really has allowed me to stay strong the whole season. You know, he takes a lot of the burden off of me in those, you know, through the 6th and 7th innings, or the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and allows me to go the 8th and 9th. Anytime that I go 7, 8, and 9, the 3 innings, I find it pretty difficult for me to come back the next day.
Well, interesting point, Jim.
Manager's dream to have two pitchers like Ron Davis and Rich Gossage in the same bullpen.
Dusty Baker, Steve Garvey, and Ron Say in the top of the 9th inning for the Dodgers, down 3-0. Strike to Baker. Check swing roller, first base, Bob Watson. Do it himself. Greg Nettles checked his swing, single to center. Dusty Baker checks the swing, rolls out to first.
Well, here you're going to see Gossage throws primarily fastballs. Here he throws a slider. Baker doesn't react to it very well. Just checks it down to first baseline.
Now it is Steve Garvey. 3-0 Yankees, top of the 9th. Gossage needs 2 outs. Curve ball is inside. That's high and tight. 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. One after another. Fouls it upstairs out of play. That'll make your count 2-2.
Looked like a ball, didn't it, Jim?
Well, he did chase a low pitch. You know, he was taking 2-0. That's why I was surprised that Gossage threw a slider on the first pitch. You would think with 3 runs down that he would know that Garvey would most likely be taking a pitch. The thing is, with Gossage, you don't have a whole lot of time when you're up there to make up your mind. You know, you see the ball, and if you don't react, it's by you.
Garvey walks. Ball comes to the backstop. Steve moves quickly to first and takes a turn. Have a look to see where the ball is, but he'll stay there.
The third baseman, Ron Say.
Now, Ron Say.
Goose manages to keep you aflutter one way or another. Have you noticed that, Jim?
Well, he did last night. He just doesn't seem to be in as good a groove as he did in the playoff series. And I think a reason for that, of course, is, you know, if you go back and look at at least most of the playoff series, they were played in the twilight. When you're playing catch with a catcher, which is basically what he and Davis and Righetti did, you have a lot of confidence.
Inside to Ron Say for ball 1. Incredibly, though, just, you know that baseball wallows in numbers. Jerry Klein just looked in the book to tell me that the last time there was a 3-0 shutout in the World Series game, way back in 1958 when Lawrence Spawn then with Milwaukee beat the Yankees 3-0. That seems incredible, but I suppose the movement of numbers could account for that period of time. That's fouled away.
Interesting to know how many shutouts there have been in the World Series.
Well, the last shutout was 1979.
Did I pitch? I mean, I didn't pitch it. I mean, I was there. I mean,
79. 1-2 to say. Strike 3 on a curveball.
He was just completely outguessed.
Well, that's true. You saw Baker check his swing on a slider. And here, he waits for it for the break. And when he does, Cerrone catches it.
Now it's down to this man, Pedro Guerrero. And the pitch is low to Pedro for ball 1.
Well, really what you're seeing is Gossage throws 95 miles per hour. About the only comparable guy is in the National League is Nolan Ryan, who has an excellent curveball to go with that fastball. So that's why Nolan has the 5 no-hitters and all the strikeouts he has.
Play upon the faces of the 2 managers, and Mrs. Gossage right back.
That's inside. That fastball he brought into Guerrero a moment ago was clocked on the Judge gun at 98. A Feller-esque fastball. Out of play.
Howard said it in your voice.
They stand as one now, imploring the Goose for the strikeout.
Got him. The Yankees win 3-0. Lead in the World Series 2-0.
In 1981, Gossage averaged more than a strikeout per inning with an earned run average of .77, and his postseason performance was scoreless. In his first 2 Dodger dates, the overpowering Gossage records 2 saves and 4 shutout innings, while fanning 5 forlorn figures in blue. Two games up, the Yankees are halfway to their 23rd World Series crown. But now it's off to the land where fairy tales can come true.